Hello everyone and welcome back to the podcast. My name is Simon and I collect James Blunt. Therefore, the podcast is called Simon Collects Blunt. Genius, eh? This is episode 3 of these spoken word shenanigans, and this time we're going to be having some words about the second single by our man Mr. Blunt, and that's chatting about the release in 2005 of the single Wisemen. She said to me, "Go steady on me." And rest assured that's what I'll be doing in these discussions about the single release, and we get to talk about those 3 men who had a semi by the sea, something that must have caused hilarity amongst those immature British people like myself who were thinking James was talking about something different, but rest assured he wasn't talking about that. So today we're diving into the early story of the single Wisemen by James Blunt, more specifically its first release in 2005, before global superstardom arrived. Most people probably know James for the huge hit You're Beautiful, but before that song dominated the charts worldwide, Wisemen was quietly making its way into the world, and the story of that first release is a fascinating snapshot of how a new artist slowly breaks through internationally. The song comes from Blunt's debut album Back to Bedlam, which was released in 2004, and at that point Blunt was still a relatively unknown singer-songwriter. The album had already produced the single High, but the label was still searching for a song that could introduce him to a wider audience, and that's where Wisemen came in. The single was first released in the United Kingdom on March 7th, 2005 through Atlantic Records. The track itself is a reflective, acoustic-driven song with philosophical lyrics, built around the idea of questioning authority and social expectations. In interviews, James later explained that the 3 wise men mentioned in the lyrics weren't biblical figures at all, but symbolic representations of power and influence. For the UK launch, the single was issued in several formats, which was typical for the mid-2000s physical singles market. There was a standard CD single, a DVD single, and a 7-inch vinyl pressing. Each format included different extras designed to attract both collectors and fans. The CD single paired the song with a live version of No Bravery, while the DVD version included the music video for Wisemen and additional visual content. Meanwhile, the vinyl pressing featured a live recording of another album track from Back to Bedlam, Billy. Despite the label's efforts, the first release was relatively modest in terms of chart performance. In the UK, Wisemen debuted and peaked at number 44 on the UK singles chart, which may not sound spectacular, but for a new artist with limited radio exposure, it was still a meaningful step, and a much bigger step from what the first single High managed. But the story doesn't stop in Britain. Even during that initial 2005 campaign, Atlantic Records began pushing the song across other international markets. Early promotional releases were circulated to radio stations across Europe, particularly in countries like Germany, Switzerland and the Netherlands. These markets had a strong tradition of supporting melodic singer-songwriters, and labels hoped the song would connect there. In some regions, the single wasn't given a full commercial release right away. Instead, it appeared primarily as promo CDs sent to radio stations, allowing broadcasters to test audience reaction. This was common practice at the time. Labels would gauge airplay before committing to physical distribution. Australia and New Zealand were also key territories for early promotion of Blunt's music. His label saw potential in those markets because British pop acts often performed well there. The song began receiving radio airplay in those countries even before the latter global push that would come in 2006. Across continental Europe, Wisemen was distributed mainly as import CDs or promotional copies, often featuring the same core track but with slightly different packaging or catalogue numbers. The music video also played an important role in introducing the song internationally. The original video featured Blunt wandering through a surreal desert landscape, encountering figures wearing masks moulded from his own face. The strange imagery mirrored the song's themes of identity and authority, and the video was circulated to music television channels across Europe. Even though the single didn't become a major hit in its first run, it did something just as important. It helped establish James Blunt as a serious new artist. Radio programmers began recognising his voice, and the album slowly gained momentum, and then of course, everything changed. Later in 2005, the release of the single You're Beautiful transformed Blunt into a global star. The song topped charts across multiple countries and drove massive sales of Back to Bedlam, suddenly listeners around the world started rediscovering the earlier singles, including Wisemen. That surge in popularity would eventually lead to the re-release of Wisemen in 2006, when the song finally became an international chart success. But that's another story for another episode. The original 2005 release remains an interesting moment in music history, a glimpse at an artist just before global fame arrived. It shows how a single can quietly travel across radio stations, promotional copies and small chart appearances before the world catches up. And today, those early pressings, the UK CD single, the DVD edition of that single, and the 7-inch vinyl, have become small collector's items from the very beginning of James Blunt's career. So next time you hear Wisemen, remember that it wasn't an overnight hit. Its journey started quietly, moving from the UK to radio stations across Europe and beyond, building the foundation for the worldwide success that would follow. Here's a quick look at the physical copies of the single, just so you can recognise them if you wish to collect them for yourself. This is the UK and European promotional CD for Wisemen. It's in a nice card cover, with the great font being used for James Blunt and Wisemen on the front and the back. It states that Wisemen was written by James Blunt, Jimmy Hogarth and Sasha Scarbeck. It was published by EMI Music Publishing, Dalmatian Songs, BMG and Bucks Music Publishing, produced by Tom Rothrock and Jimmy Hogarth. We have the usual 4 lines of blurb on the back, which I won't read out, but needless to say, unauthorised copying, hiring, lending, public performance and broadcasting of this recording is prohibited, etc, etc, etc. The item code for this particular promotional CD is PR015167, and obviously the LC number is LC00121 for Atlantic Records. States on the back for promotional use only, not for resale, and it lists jamesblunt.com and atlanticrecords.co.uk. And it does have a lovely blue CD with the Monkey King etched onto it numerous times. A great looking item. We then come to the Atlantic Records UK radio edit promo, and this particular one is the clean radio edit. So there is no bad language on this one. And this just comes in a paper sleeve, which was quite normal for certain promotional CDs to come. Lists Atlantic Records on the front with their address and phone numbers. James Blunt lists it as Wise Men, 2 words, instead of Wise Men. So yeah, Wise Men, the clean radio edit. And the CD itself, it's just written by hand. James Blunt Wisemen. Sometimes with things like this, there are doubts as to whether they are actually official promotional releases, or maybe someone just needed it for a meeting or something like that and quickly wrote on the CD. We will never know. But it's a James Blunt CD, and therefore it forms part of this collection that I have. On to the first single available for the public to purchase of Wisemen. This CD, known as CD1, has a catalogue number of AT0198CD, has the label code of LC00122, which is a standard for Atlantic Records releases, but don't worry, no in-depth conversations about label codes again. The barcode for this release is 07567936782. The CD artwork and cover has again been designed by Salvador Design, who also designed the first single High. Photography for this cover is Carl J. Cowell, and again the management for this period of James's career was 21st Artists Limited. The front inlay has a picture of James with the text James Blunt, Wisemen, written in the famous font. On the spine of the CD cover, it states Atlantic/Custard, James Blunt Wisemen, AT0198CD/75679367782. Both of them are commonly used as the catalogue number, the shorter one used in the UK, and the barcode number used in the European markets. On the reverse of the front inlay, it lists the various details about the tracks. Wisemen, written by, as we've already said, Blunt, Hogarth, Scarbeck. Published by EMI Music, Dalmatian Songs /BMG, Bucks Music Publishing. Produced by Tom Rossrock and Jimmy Hogarth at Jimmy's Place, London, and the Embassy. Mastered by Don Tyler at Precision Mastering, Los Angeles. Track number 2, No Bravery, a live version recorded at 93 Foot East. The song written by James Blunt and Sasha Scarbeck. Published by EMI Music Publishing / Bucks Music Publishing. Mixed by Nick Thompson at Escape Studios. It then lists the web address of James and Atlantic Records, and another one, ukundercurrent.com, but that one doesn't work for me. So I've checked it today, and I'm not even sure what it was originally. The usual 5 lines of legal blurb about copying, hiring, renting, etc. And onto the CD, a lovely blue CD with the Monkey King etched onto it multiple times. The second CD is known as CD 2 of this single release, but it's also known as the DVD single. You can listen to the audio of Wisemen, as well as watch the video to the song, the making of that video to the song, and also watch the video to High as well. A worthwhile experience and highly recommended. This was another collectible that I paid a vast sum of money for at one point, purely because I couldn't find a copy anywhere. My thanks to TK Cherry, who at that time helped me get this single in my collection. I think you can still pick copies of this up for less than I paid, but I wouldn't change a thing. On to the 7-inch single for Wisemen, and this was the very first vinyl release here in the UK for James. And I don't know about you, but I really wish there had been more vinyl releases, purely because they just look so much better than plastic CD cases and small artwork. Each to their own, I guess, but I do love having vinyl releases in my collection from James. Catalogue number for this 7-inch single is AT0198, and the barcode is 07567-936-7679. The artwork for the single is the same as the CD single releases, and for this release the B-side was a live version of Billy. On the cover it lists Wisemen as the A-side, obviously, and gives the same details about the song as on the CD single releases. The B-side is, as I've said, a live version of Billy, this one recorded at 93 Foot East. Billy was written by James, Sasha Scarbeck and Amanda Ghost. Published by EMI Music Publishing / Bucks Music Publishing. It was mixed by Nick Thompson at Escape Studios. The management, photography and design is listed, the same as the CD releases obviously. Web addresses listed as standard. The vinyl itself is black with black paper labels with the fonts consistently used through this release stating the tracks on each side. The Monkey King logo also puts in an appearance again. There are a couple of other promotional releases available for Wisemen, and I'm awaiting these into my collection, currently working on a deal for a nice pile of Australian promo and radio promos for James's singles. The fun and expense never stops. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. If you've made it this far, bloody hell, well done, and thank you. This is a huge hobby of mine, and even if no one listened, I still like talking about James Blunt's releases. I post on Instagram, and you can find me at Simon Collects Blunt. And I also have an account on X which I post to occasionally at Blunt Collector. And now, sound the fanfares, there's also a Facebook account. Just search for Simon Collects Blunt. I've never been a Facebook fan, but I thought I'd set up a page, just to see if it could garner some interest for this podcast. As always, feel free to email me if you want to sell anything, or chat about James and life in general. simoncollectsblunt@gmail.com. See you all in a few weeks with episode number 4. I'm still injured from my motorbike crash, but most importantly, I'm Simon and I collect James Blunt.